The Mysterious Power of Nure Onna, a mythological journey into the snake woman's realm. Japan's folklore is a mesmerizing tapestry woven with stories of supernatural beings, awe-inspiring landscapes, and human interactions with the inexplicable. Among the many enigmatic creatures that haunt its myths is the Nure Onna, a figure shrouded in mystery. The very name, Wet Woman, evokes an eerie image of dripping water, riverbanks, and danger lurking beneath a beautiful guise. Her tales, varying across regions, speak of immense power, cunning deception, and a complex character that straddles the line between villain and misunderstood spirit. This article takes you on an expansive exploration of Nure Onna's mythological roots, her legendary powers, symbolic significance, and her relevance in modern interpretations. Who is Nure Onna? Nure Onna is one of Japan's yokai, supernatural entities, recognized by her distinctive hybrid form, the upper body of a woman fused with the long, serpentine lower body of a snake. Her form varies slightly depending on the tale. Some legends describe her as a stunningly beautiful woman with flowing hair and a serene face, while others depict her as having a monstrous visage with sharp fangs, a forked tongue, and eyes that gleam like those of a snake. She is most often encountered near rivers, lakes, or the ocean, her presence marked by her perpetually wet appearance. This wet quality is said to represent her connection to water, a life-giving yet destructive force. Whether her motives are malicious, protective, or simply misunderstood depends on the story, making her one of the more ambiguous figures in Japanese folklore. The powers of Nure Onna's abilities, rooted in her hybrid form and mystical nature, are a blend of physical prowess, mental cunning, and supernatural gifts. Each of her powers adds to her enigmatic allure and ensures that those who cross her path are left awestruck or terrified. 1. Deceptive beauty. Nure Onna is often described as having an unearthly allure, with her human-like upper body exuding a mysterious charm. Travelers, drawn to her seemingly harmless and fragile appearance, are caught off guard when she reveals her true form. Her beauty is both a weapon and a warning, a reminder of how appearances can be deceiving. 2. Shape-shifting and illusion. In many versions of the myth, Nure Onna is a master of disguise. She can appear entirely human, sometimes even taking on the guise of a distressed traveler or a grieving mother. These illusions are powerful enough to lull her victims into a false sense of security. Her most famous ruse involves her carrying what looks like a crying baby. When handed to an unsuspecting passerby, the baby becomes impossibly heavy or reveals its true form, an enchanted object, while Nure Onna strikes. 3. Immense physical strength. Nure Onna's serpentine lower body is a source of incredible strength. Tales describe her using her muscular tail to coil around her prey, crushing them with inescapable force. Her strength is such that she is said to pull entire boats into rivers, drowning their occupants. Even when facing groups of humans, she is rarely overpowered. 4th. Hypnotic voice and gaze legends often highlight Nure Onna's enchanting voice, said to be soothing and almost hypnotic. Her song or cries can draw people toward her, making them forget their surroundings or the danger they might be in. Similarly, her piercing gaze is described as mesmerizing, holding her victims spellbound before she reveals her true intentions. 5. Control over water. As a yokai intrinsically linked to aquatic environments, Nure Onna is sometimes depicted as a mistress of water. She can summon waves, control currents, and even manipulate the weather to create dangerous conditions for her victims. Her dripping wet form symbolizes her eternal connection to the water, a reminder of its unpredictable nature. Tales of Nure Onna across regions. The legends of Nure Onna vary widely, with regional stories adding unique layers to her character. These tales not only showcase her powers, but also reflect the values and fears of the communities that told them. The crying baby. Trick, one of the most famous tales, describes a traveler walking along a riverbank when he encounters a weeping woman holding a baby. Compassionately, the traveler agrees to hold the child while she fetches water. However, as soon as the baby is in his arms, it becomes unbearably heavy, immobilizing him. Before he can comprehend what's happening, Nure Onna reveals her true form, using her serpentine body to crush him or drag him into the river. The sacred water's guardian. In another story, Nure Onna is depicted as a protector of sacred rivers or springs. Those who approach her waters with respect are left unharmed, but anyone attempting to pollute or steal from them is met with her wrath. These tales paint her less as a villain and more as a guardian yokai, ensuring that nature remains. Nure Onna, the mystical serpent woman of prehistoric legends. The Nure Onna, a mythical creature from Japanese folklore, holds a captivating place in the pantheon of ancient tales. This snake-like entity with a human face is both mysterious and terrifying, a blend of human and beast that might have roots in prehistoric times. While her legend is primarily documented in later historical periods, imagining her in the prehistoric era offers a fascinating lens through which to explore humanity's early relationship with nature, the unknown, and storytelling. The Nure Onna in prehistoric context. Prehistoric cultures, deeply intertwined with the natural world, likely crafted myths to explain phenomena that were otherwise incomprehensible. The Nure Onna could have emerged as a symbol of the unpredictable power of nature. Prehistoric Japan, marked by the Jomon period, 14,000 to 300 BCE, was a time when the landscape was dominated by dense forests, rivers, and coastal shores teeming with life. These environments, ripe with danger and wonder, may have inspired the image of a serpentine water spirit like the Nure Onna. In this imagined prehistory, the Nure Onna might not have been a malevolent predator, but rather a protective deity or a cautionary figure. Early humans, reliant on rivers for sustenance, could have personified the rivers themselves as beings like the Nure Onna. Her serpentine form would represent the flowing currents, while her human face symbolized a connection to humanity, a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms. Visualizing the prehistoric Nure Onna picture, a small Jomon village nestled along the coastline. The people relied on fishing, foraging, and primitive agriculture, their lives shaped by the rhythms of nature. At the edge of their settlement near the river stood sacred stones and carved totems, primitive attempts to communicate with the spiritual forces they believed governed the natural world. Amidst this setting, the Nure Onna's presence would loom large. The villagers, fearful of droughts or floods, might have woven tales of her appearance, a creature with the sinuous body of a serpent, scales glistening like water under the sun, and the face of a pale woman with piercing eyes. Her wet hair, perpetually dripping, signified her domain, the river, and hinted at her duality, life-giving and destructive. The Nure Onna was perhaps a manifestation of their anxieties and reverence. If treated with respect, she might ensure bountiful fish and steady river currents, but if angered, her wrath could bring storms, drownings, or other calamities. To appease her, villagers might have left offerings of food or created rudimentary rituals involving dance, song, and fire. The role of the Nure Onna in prehistoric mythology. For a society yet to develop a written language, oral traditions were vital. The story of the Nure Onna might have been a cautionary tale passed down through generations, teaching children the dangers of wandering too close to the riverbank or venturing into deep waters. Her legend would instill a healthy respect for the unpredictable power of rivers and seas. At the same time, the Nure Onna could symbolize fertility and abundance. Rivers were lifelines for prehistoric communities, and her association with water tied her to growth and sustenance. Her duality, as both a nurturer and a threat, mirrors the natural world's dual nature, capable of providing life, but also wielding immense, destructive power. A prehistoric encounter. Imagine a hunter from a Jomon village setting out at dawn, spear in hand, moving cautiously along the riverbank. The air is thick with mist, and the sound of water rushing over rocks is a constant backdrop. He notices strange markings in the mud, long, sinuous trails that could not have been left by any known animal. The hunter recalls his elders' warnings about the Nure Onna, their voices whispering in his memory. Never look into her eyes, for they hold you like the river's currents. As he moves closer to the water, he sees her, an enormous snake-like figure coiled on a rock, her face turned away, long hair falling in wet strands over her shoulders. She seems to hum softly, a sound that mingles with the river's murmur. Terrified yet entranced, the hunter freezes. The Nure Onna's head tilts ever so slightly, as though sensing his presence. Suddenly, she slides into the water, vanishing with barely a ripple, leaving the hunter unsure if what he saw was real or a trick of his mind. He returns to the village, his story adding another layer to the growing legend. For days, the villagers avoid the river, leaving offerings of fish and rice on the shore. When the rains come and the river flows steadily, they believe they have appeased her. Nure Onna, the serpent spirit of medieval Japan. The Nure Onna, a creature of Japanese folklore, occupies a haunting space in the collective imagination, particularly during Japan's medieval era. With her long, serpentine body and the face of a pale, beautiful woman, she embodies the dual nature of fear and fascination. In the medieval period, when spirituality and superstition were deeply interwoven with daily life, tales of the Nure Onna gained new layers of meaning. These stories reflected the fears, beliefs, and values of a time shaped by war, natural disasters, and the omnipresent mystery of the supernatural. The medieval setting. Medieval Japan, roughly the 12th to 16th centuries, was a period of feudal rule, marked by the rise of the samurai class and a deeply ingrained reverence for the spiritual world. During this time, the countryside was dotted with small villages, temples, and shrines. Rivers and forests were lifelines providing food, water, and protection, but they were also mysterious and dangerous realms, home to creatures that defied human understanding. It was in this context that the Nure Onna's legend thrived. Her name, which means wet woman, conjures an image of a ghostly figure emerging from rivers or the sea, her hair perpetually dripping water. She was said to appear to travelers along desolate riverbanks or to villagers who wandered too far from the safety of their homes. Unlike other yokai, supernatural beings, the Nure Onna was not always outright malevolent, but her unpredictable nature made her a figure of both reverence and fear. Tales of the Nure Onna in medieval Japan. The Lone Traveler. One of the most enduring tales of the Nure Onna from the medieval period involves a lone traveler crossing a forested riverbank. Exhausted from his journey, the man sits to rest near the water's edge. There, he encounters a woman with long black hair flowing down her back. Her face is pale and strikingly beautiful, but her presence is unsettling. She cradles a bundle in her arms and weeps softly, asking the traveler to hold the bundle for a moment. Feeling pity, the traveler agrees, but as soon as he takes the bundle, it grows impossibly heavy. The weight pins him to the ground, and when he looks up, the woman's face has transformed. Her human features twist into a monstrous expression as her long, serpentine body uncoils from the water. With a terrifying hiss, she reveals her true form, the Nure Onna, and drags the traveler into the river's depths. This story was often shared as a cautionary tale, warning against trusting strangers and venturing too close to dangerous waters. It also reflected the medieval belief that kindness and curiosity, while virtuous, could lead to one's doom if not tempered by caution. The Village Protector. Not all stories cast the Nure Onna as a villain. In some villages, she was believed to be a guardian spirit who protected rivers from pollution or overfishing. One medieval legend tells of a greedy lord who ordered his men to catch every fish in a river to stock his private ponds. As the men began their work, they encountered a Nure Onna. She rose from the water, her body towering above them, and unleashed a wave that washed away their nets and tools. Frightened, the villagers took this as a sign that the river was sacred and must not be exploited. This tale highlights the Nure Onna's dual role as both a punisher and protector, embodying the natural balance that medieval Japanese society sought to maintain. It also underscores the era's reverence for the natural world and the belief that rivers and forests were imbued with spirits deserving of respect. The Nure Onna and religious beliefs. The medieval period saw the influence of both Shinto and Buddhist beliefs on Japanese culture. Shinto, with its emphasis on kami, spirits, inhabiting natural elements, provided fertile ground for the Nure Onna's mythos. She could be viewed as a river kami, demanding respect and punishing those who desecrated her domain. Buddhism, particularly its esoteric sects, added another layer to her story. The Nure Onna could also represent the concept of attachment or illusion. In Buddhist teachings, human suffering often stems from clinging to the material world. The Nure Onna's deceptive appearance, beautiful yet deadly, mirrored this idea, warning against succumbing to superficial desires or distractions. In some Buddhist interpretations, she might even be seen as a soul trapped in the cycle of reincarnation, her monstrous form a punishment for past misdeeds. The role of the Nure Onna in society. In the medieval period, storytelling was a vital part of community life. Villagers gathered around fires to share tales of yokai like the Nure Onna, reinforcing cultural values and imparting lessons to younger generations. These stories also served as a way to explain natural phenomena. The mysterious power of Nure Onna, a timeless legend. The Nure Onna, with her sinuous serpent body and haunting human face, has slithered through centuries of Japanese culture, a figure of mystery and power that transcends time. From her origins in prehistoric whispers to her emergence as a modern symbol of loneliness, environmental loss, and feminine strength, she embodies the fears and fascinations of every age. The Nure Onna is not just a myth, she is a mirror reflecting humanity's evolving relationship with nature, spirituality, and itself. From prehistory to the present, the duality of Nure Onna. The Nure Onna's story begins in the dense forests and rivers of prehistoric Japan, where early humans personified nature as gods and spirits to understand its immense power. In those ancient times, she was likely seen as a kami, a protector of water and life, but also a harbinger of death to those who disrespected her domain. Her serpentine form symbolized the flowing rivers, lifelines that could just as easily destroy as sustain. In the medieval period, as society developed a deeper sense of spirituality through Shinto and Buddhism, her role evolved. She became a cautionary figure, warning travelers and villagers of the unpredictable dangers of the wild. Her stories reflected humanity's constant need to balance respect for nature with the fear of its destructive potential. Yet even then, she was more than a monster. She was also a guardian, a spirit demanding harmony and reverence. By the classical period, as art and literature flourished, the Nure Onna took on a poetic quality. Her legend was no longer just a warning, but a meditation on the fragility of life and the beauty of impermanence. Her wet hair and melancholic gaze became symbols of sorrow and longing, resonating with a culture deeply attuned to the aesthetics of nature's fleeting beauty. As Japan modernized, the Nure Onna adapted yet again. She shifted from being a rural river spirit to haunting the urban landscapes of a rapidly changing world. Her legends, once confined to villages and forests, became urban tales of loneliness, danger, and the unseen costs of modernization. Whether she appeared in ghost stories, literature, or popular media, her presence reminded people of the consequences of ignoring both the natural world and the emotional needs of one another. The power of transformation. A defining aspect of the Nure Onna's power lies in her ability to transform, not just physically, but symbolically, as her meaning evolves to fit the concerns of each era. She has been feared as a predator, revered as a protector, and mourned as a tragic figure. Her beauty lures, her serpent body terrifies, and her dripping hair speaks of untold sorrows. This transformation is a testament to the adaptability of myth. The Nure Onna is not bound to one interpretation. She shifts her form and meaning to remain relevant. In this way, she reflects the human condition, multifaceted, complex, and ever-changing. Nature and the Nure Onna. At her core, the Nure Onna represents the untamed power of nature. Her presence near rivers and seas ties her to water, the most paradoxical of elements, essential for life, yet capable of immense destruction. In her prehistoric and medieval stories, she personifies nature's duality. In modern times, she has become a symbol of what humanity has lost in its quest to dominate the natural world. Her transformation into a symbol of environmental degradation is particularly poignant in today's world. She now embodies the anger of rivers polluted, forests cleared, and ecosystems destroyed. Her vengeance is not just folklore, it is a metaphor for the real-world consequences of humanity's neglect. The feminine archetype. The Nure Onna also carries immense power as a feminine archetype. She is beautiful yet deadly, nurturing yet destructive, embodying the complexities of femininity. In her guise as a tragic figure, she reflects the struggles of women marginalized or misunderstood by society. Her monstrous form can be read as a rejection of societal norms that suppress women's autonomy, a transformation of pain into power. In her many stories, the Nure Onna is both victim and villain, highlighting the thin line between vulnerability and strength. Whether dragging travelers into rivers or protecting sacred waters, she asserts her agency in a world that often seeks to diminish it. Modern resonance. Nure Onna's relevance today. Why does the Nure Onna continue to haunt our imaginations in the modern period? Her relevance lies in her ability to embody the timeless fears and hopes of humanity. Loneliness and alienation. In an increasingly urban and digital world, the Nure Onna reflects the alienation many people feel. She is the lonely spirit, yearning for connection but ultimately feared and rejected. Thank for watching. Subscribe for other episodes.